Just look at this. Or this. Or how about this? Not convinced yet? Well, what about... Now you gotta admit, this looks similar. I mean, come on, Starfield is going to be No Man's Sky, right?
Well, hey kids, do you want some drugs? Oh, sorry, I don't have any, but I have something better. Patreon! Yes, that makes videos happen.
Okay, I'm being a bit too on the nose here. But then again, those puffy wankers who say that Bethesda makes RPGs, not simulators, or whatever, at least are embarrassing themselves now in the comments. I'm being cheeky there with the intro. I'm not saying it's the same game, nor that it will be. So comb your tits and clean out that bed that you just shat while frothing at the mouth trying to make some sort of weird point that RPGs are some sort of a holy grail or something. Thing is, like it or not, there are strong comparisons between these two games, but it need not be a bad thing. Ultimately, most games are different, but we still like to compare them. Well, mostly cause it's a reference point, and it can be just fun. So today I think we can wax lyrical about the two gaming specimens here and compare, at least as much as we can, for the fun of it. Alright, well let's just jump in then. With the gameplay trailer released for Starfield, it immediately got obvious that Starfield took, well, shall we say, inspiration from No Man's Sky quite a lot. The scanner opener was a dead giveaway. It even had a small checklist on the side about the plants on the planet as well as other things. And you know, it's not a bad thing to copy it. It's actually a really good one. Seriously. You see, No Man's Sky in particular has become a good example on how to do, well, at least a basic level of exploration gameplay for space sim genre. In fact, if you're watching my history on the space sims videos, the true space sim category in particular only in the last 10 years have solidified exploration as a core gameplay type, and this in part is thanks to Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky. So the fact that Starfield is, well, let's not kid ourselves, copy-pasting these mechanics is not a bad thing. Good idea is a good idea. That's how art in general changes, games even more so. And then there is the mining bit, which has the big difference between the two games, as it seems that Starfield, similarly to Fallout 4, will use resources for upgrades, research and building, but I suspect that these mineable things will be a lot more rare. And while No Man's Sky and Starfield go quite a bit different ways of upgrading things, I can say that No Man's Sky struggles with more cohesion for making sense of these upgrades. Now, I find upgrading in No Man's Sky to be quite bothersome, and being heavily relied on RNGs is a big chore than a pleasure. On the other hand, Fallout 4 compelled me to constantly run back and forth, filling my inventory, making it very poor and annoying gameplay. However, if I didn't gather everything that was nailed down, including fossilized turds, then I felt like I was missing out on a big part of the game, namely base building and weapon upgrades and what have you. Can you tell I hate Fallout 4 more than Fallout 3? Skyrim, while it had the same problem, you mostly gather stuff for money, not building stuff, so you always knew to drop the junk items and carry only expensive butt plugs. So, if Starfield copies Fallout 4 scrapping mechanics, then it's just gonna be another loot-a-thon. Speaking of those similarities, the base building. Well, this one's like an acid enema for me. Even if somebody enjoys it, it ain't a thing for me. You see, I hate base building. It usually ends up in one of the two problems I stumble upon. Shitty resource requirements to build even the simplest things, or the overcomplicated micro-detailing with bad UI. Well, No Man's Sky is going to be the resource wall, while the Fallout 4 was the bad UI with the resource wall. I'm certainly curious to see what the Starfield brings, but I'm already looking at an infinite inventory mod upon release of this shit. But okay, let's talk about that one thing that I'm sure everyone is keen to point out. Starfield will be an RPG, not a simulator. Meaning that it's going to be a story-based game with leveling and points and stats and, what the fuck is even an RPG? Oh, now, of course I know, but the point I'm trying to make is that every punter out there basically has their own version of what an RPG is, and there's no one single version that everyone can agree upon, it seems. Hell, technically Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen are also RPGs by most standards. Sure, they don't have leveling systems or direct stat points, but you are role-playing. Still, if we strip ourselves from the shackles of genre definitions, one thing is certain, Starfield is already a better story than No Man's Sky. Now, while No Man's Sky does have themes, and actually quite similar to Starfield's, it's all in text form, and as somebody who abhors reading, Starfield already wins for me. However, even if you investigate the story of No Man's Sky, all it has are themes rather than a story, really. Sure, there are some missions and some kind of progression, but ultimately, even not counting the bad ending, it's just poorly presented and frankly bland drivel. So, by default, winner is already Starfield. And similarly, another category where Starfield will win is the FPS. While I expect a truly mediocre and very basic bitch equivalent of Pew Pew, there is no comparison to No Man's Sky, who seems to have gone back in time to reinvent the shooting mechanics from scratch. There is a reason why you barely ever see anyone do combat, be it spaceship or on foot in No Man's Sky. It's truly poor and very consolitis, if you will. So even the basic mechanics of Fallout 4 will be better, I guarantee. For ships though, well, now this one's going to be an interesting one. Starfield, you see, claims to not have any fuel consumption, at least on the normal difficulties for now, and it is a bold choice overall. See, even No Man's Sky seems to know that allowing player to keep using your ship indefinitely is not really a good choice. Not only the player will be allowed to go anywhere without any kind of limitation, but it also allows the player to completely ignore about 90% of the game. In game design, if you force your player to stop a little bit from time to time to gather materials for fuel before moving on, you have a chance to inject the player's gameplay with some kind of variety, making the overall experience not feel like the endless string of the same repetitive actions. However, not all games manage to execute it well. Here I suspect the random dropping pirate ships will be the ones that stop you from going too far or too often, which is honestly a worse option of simply having a fuel tank to limit you, but who knows. Combat-wise, as I talked about the Starfield ships, it was rather obvious that maximum speed for Starfield's space dildos will be notably lower than most other spaceship games. Though coming from No Man's Sky and its, gameplay, I suspect this one ain't gonna be as boring or tedious or crap. I genuinely hate anything to do with spaceship-related stuff in No Man's Sky, except for their looks and cargo capacity. So here again, Starfield has the chance to make a positive impact. Yes, it will be casual-friendly rather than Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous over simulated mechanics, but who knows, maybe Bethesda will find a happy medium for casual audiences. But there still is one thing that sadly No Man's Sky will lord over Starfield and do so forever, and that's landing and flying on planets. While we don't know yet exactly how much you'll be able to do with the starship on the planet surfaces, if anything at all, like flying, No Man's Sky already allows the atmospheric transition, going from the surface into the space and vice versa, landing on the planets, well, semi-manually. And say what you will about the, it's not that important. Well, no, actually no, fuck you, it is very important. Space games, especially the space sims, have become one of the most immersive types of games in the last decade. Since the last big resurgence in 2012, the term immersion truly has become one of the best describing factors for anything to do with spaceships in it. I genuinely think that Bethesda is dropping a huge ball by not making atmospheric entry a manual process and relegating it to a fucking loading screen. Maybe that is the limitation of the creation engine, in which case, please throw out that archaic garbage, stop polishing that turd. But alright, that all is going to be seen soon. Starfield will release this year, and then we can really do an in-depth comparison. So do follow, subscribe, burn the dead horse on a pyre for TheYamiks, and of course, support my work on the Patreon and other links down below, like the Discord. I don't know, come tell me how Starfield is an RPG. It's not like the other games, it's a special one. Oh, please do.